My name is Todd Cowles. I'm the Director of Cloud Infrastructure at Ironbow Technologies, and today we're going to discuss the evolution of the data center in relationship to virtualization and the foundations that create what we now call the cloud. The first step in the cloud is actually creating that virtualization underlying layer, and whether that's Tier 2, Tier 3 apps, Tier 1 applications, and moving into the actual desktop itself to extrapolate the applications from the desktop so that we can virtualize that underlying layer and those applications for delivery to mobile devices 2 to 3 years down the road. Specific to Ironbow, and for many of our customers within the DoD and Fed community, there's been a large gap that's occurred between the process of virtualization and the concept of moving to a cloud. Oftentimes, if there's a hypervisor technology deployed into the environment, you have about 95% to 98% of what the cloud is per the NIST definition. Once the process of virtualization has occurred within the data center, we begin to look at different layers within the entire apparatus and ecosystem, and we figure out ways to improve the policies and governance by leveraging automation within the environment. And that's why virtualization is the foundation of the cloud, is that we need those workloads to be very manageable and malleable from a movement standard. Within the Fed and DoD, we haven't quite gotten there. Oftentimes it's misunderstood that the cloud stands for moving your workload to Amazon, to Google, to Azure, which isn't necessarily the case. There is a silver lining in the economic downturn that occurred for a lot of our customers, in that it afforded the opportunity for them to take a step back and really look at their data centers to see what is going on. And it has put a lot of them into a position to actually analyze their workloads from a CPU, memory, bandwidth, and storage consumption perspective. And that's really what needed to happen for our customers within the DoD and Fed ranks to really understand what was going on within their data center. It doesn't necessarily make sense to repurchase arrays or switches or chassis of sorts if the consumption of those pieces of infrastructure isn't hitting about that 80% watermark. Once that does happen, we can actually begin to metric appropriately for the customer and really get into those layers of automation in leveraging things like Chef, which is a cloud management platform. We can leverage code to apply dysstigs. We can leverage code to manage infrastructure. And really what that does is it frees up the human capital within the environment to actually focus on work that matters for the customer. Imagine a day where a commander or a GS-15, someone will be able to request data immediately and have an app built around that to service a mission requirement. And that's really where we're headed, and that is what we're attempting to solve. But the first steps are everything has to be virtualized, that data has to be in sets in which are easily accessible from various other API sets, from other management interfaces or other calls for that information, and it has to be wrapped in a secure and meet compliance standards for that infrastructure and that organization in general. And that is virtualization in the cloud.